Hiya there folks, in today's video we're going to be looking at the Eleglide T1 step through e-bike. And this is predominantly your bike, isn't it, Dom?
It certainly is.
Basically we got this because a couple of months ago I got an e-bike, didn't I? And when I was using it so much, you thought, I wouldn't mind one of them.
Yeah.
And then we were quite fortunate that Eleglide got in touch with us and said, would we like to test and review their latest bike that's just been launched. So we thought, well, ideal opportunity. While we're out and about on the boat, it's a great thing to have with us, isn't it?
We are, yeah.
And we have used it on a number of occasions while we're out and about, go for bike rides, go and do the shopping on it. Because obviously when we go out and about on the boat, we don't have the car with us, do we?
No.
So having the pair of bikes has been a real asset.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's start with a review of it then. Let's first of all have a look how it arrived and what it took to build it up to get into a usable condition. That was straightforward enough, putting it together.
Yep.
I mean, I actually put it together, but you've sort of said since looking at that footage, you reckon you could have done it without any problems,
100%.
couldn't you? Obviously, the instructions that come with it, they're fairly basic instructions, but I think they explain everything sort of enough to be able to put it together.
Of course.
Without any real great knowledge of how bikes work, really.
Yeah.
It's sort of fairly straightforward,
Yeah,
isn't it?
definitely.
So do you want to explain to everyone the technical specification of the bike?
I'd rather you did.
Ah, right. Yeah, no worries. Basically, let's look at the electric drive system itself first, because that's probably the be-all and end-all of the bike, really, isn't it? The fact it is electric drive.
Of course.
You've got a 250 watt motor that's a hub drive motor. You get some bikes where the motor is here at the pedals, but in general, the ones where it's on the hub gives more drive and gives better efficiency. So it's a 250 watt hub drive motor. Powering that motor, we've got a 36 volt, 12.5 amp hour lithium ion battery. How's that sounding?
It works.
It works, it does exactly what you want, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Basically, that is rated to give up to 65 miles of pedal assistance, which we'll come back to the pedal assistance sort of description in a little while. But yeah, in sort of 4 or 5 hours, it'll charge up from completely discharged to fully charged, and you're good to go.
Yep.
Down the back here, we've got a 7-speed Shimano gear set, which I will say is, if you like, a tried and tested gear set, shall we say. It's not the latest technology in the Shimano range, but it does the job perfectly.
It certainly does.
As a budget bike, you're not going to be getting the latest specification, are you?
No.
It's fitted with adjustable front suspension that does also have a lockout facility, which means that when you're riding on roads you can lock it out, and that supposedly gives you a better ride because you're not getting the shaking from the forks.
Alright, okay.
Front and rear we've got disc brakes, which do the job perfectly, don't they?
Yeah.
You've not crashed anyway, have you?
No.
The LCD display that's fitted is really clear, nice and easy to use, isn't it? That gives you all the information that you need about sort of what pedal assistance you've got on there and sort of what amount of powers that you're using and things like that.
Yeah.
Really straightforward to use and really easy to see. It is one thing I've noted on a lot of the budget e-bikes is they tend to have quite poor display systems and sort of quite fangled ways of having to get into the systems to look at your different assists. This is all really clear, and basically you picked it up straight away, didn't you? How to turn it on, how to go through the different sort of assistance levels and things like that.
So easy to use.
Dead
so
simple.
Easy. Yeah.
No issues on there. Fitted as standard, it's got a front headlight and a rear tail light. And one of the great things we like about this is that rear tail light is also a brake light, which is fantastic. I mean, as we've been doing some riding and when you're out and about in traffic, obviously as you pull on these brakes, that light comes on, and that's a great indicator for people following or in the traffic that you are actually slowing down.
Yeah.
Obviously one of the things normally if you're following a push bike is you don't really get any indication that they're stopping. The bike just stops.
Yeah.
Whereas straight away that brake light comes on, tells everyone around you are slowing down or stopping. So I think that, although it's a kind of relatively minor thing overall, I actually think that is a
really
great thing to have on there.
Yeah, it is.
It's probably fair to say then it's a bike that's aimed at a newbie or a beginner or somebody who's kind of just getting back into the world of biking, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Because basically, your daughter's how old?
27.
And how many times have you been on a bike ride with your daughter?
Once.
And when was that?
Last weekend.
Last week, because you got this. Because in all fairness, up until you get in this and getting the confidence, I think mainly because of having that electric motor, it kind of gives you that confidence to know that you can get up hills and things, doesn't it? You're not going to get stranded. You're not going to spend half your day pushing a bike up a hill or sat in the corner waiting for me to come and pick you up. Yeah, so it's giving you that confidence to get back on a bike, go and enjoy it and get out and about, because in the sort of 3 or 4 weeks you've had this, you've racked up 75 miles on it, haven't you?
Yeah.
Which 75 miles in sort of 3 weeks or so compared to 0 miles in 30 plus years
is an achievement.
It says a lot about sort of being able to get out there, not just this bike but the fact it's an electric bike.
Yeah, of course.
In that 75 miles that you've done, it's mainly been sort of road and sort of cycle track sort of riding, hasn't it? Which is obviously what this bike's aimed at.
Yeah.
It's got the road tyres on it. It's not really aimed as an off-road bike.
No.
But you've done a little bit of going on sort of tracks and things, haven't you? And, you know, just sort of not major off-roading.
No.
But it kind of handled what you needed it to, didn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, you were never going to be climbing up great mountains and down great big downhill tracks and things.
No.
But just kind of going off-road, it handled everything that you threw at it.
It never struggled.
No, it never struggled, did what you needed, and predominantly, obviously, like we said, it is a road bike. If you were looking to be predominantly out and about on major off-road things, you would probably go for an actual mountain bike style bike rather than these sort of step-through road bikes. And being a road bike, it's set up perfectly for things like going shopping and things like that on into. I mean, it's got the little pannier rack on there, so you can get a little bit of shopping on there.
It's been brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, maybe all it would need is an actual pannier bag just to go on there, so you could actually put a few bits of shopping in.
Yeah.
But that's what it's set up for, a road bike for maybe getting to work and back on and going shopping on. So in that 3 or 4 weeks that you've had it and doing the 75 miles, you've got a good feel for the bike and kind of come up with a few likes and an odd dislike about it, haven't you?
Yeah, of course.
I think number one like has got to be the nice comfy saddle.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Because, I mean, let's be honest, the first time or two you rode it, you were a bit delicate, shall we say.
I was sore.
But I think that's the same, like say, you've not ridden a bike in years. Yeah. Everyone's like that. But after the first couple of rides, you kind of got into that saddle all right, and nice and comfy, lots of padding. The only thing we would say is it does seem to be picking up kind of the colouring. You tend to have been riding in sort of black jeans and leggings, and it is kind of picking up the colouring of them. Maybe that's more the jeans and leggings you were wearing rather than the saddle. But it's probably nothing major, that really, is it? Just a point to note. When you first got on there, we found it really easy to set it up, didn't we, for you to get in the right position. There's lots of adjustments in the handlebars and how they can change round and how the screen can move and the brake levers. Obviously the saddle height, things like that, and they were all really easy to set up.
5-minute job, wasn't
yeah,
it?
within like you say, within 5 minutes of you getting on there, we got it all set up and you were kind of happy how it was set up for you. Another plus point is the luggage rack. Like we said, it actually comes with one of those on there. A lot of bikes you have to buy that as an addition, which obviously is more cost and the hassle of ordering it from somewhere else. It's already on there, comes with it, so it's good to go with that on there. Like we've already said, one of the great pluses is that brake light. I'm super impressed with that brake light. Like I said, overall a very minor thing, but I think it's brilliant, especially if you're out in traffic.
For safety reasons.
Yeah, it just gives them drivers who are following you, it's that automatic reaction as a driver. You see the red light come on, you know that the vehicle in front is stopping. So I think that's brilliant. I think that's something that should be adapted onto every bike. As mentioned earlier, these bikes are what's known as pedal assist. That basically means the electric motor is only running whilst you're active pedalling.
Yes.
That is to comply with the current laws and regulations over here in the UK, because if it's just basically on a throttle, so you can just press a button, that means it then classes as a motorbike as such, and therefore you need tax and insurance and things. One thing we must say with this one is that pedal assist kicks in really quickly, doesn't it?
Not even half a pedal.
Yeah, if you've got your pedals like that, by the time they're there, that pedal assist kicked in, which is a great feature, especially again setting off in traffic, things like that, or setting off on a hill. You know, as soon as you start moving those pedals, that's kicking in. Again, on some of the budget e-bikes, it can take a turn or two, which is nothing major, but you have to kind of get the bike going yourself.
Added confidence.
Yeah, so I think that's a good thing that it kicks in so soon. What I will say regarding that pedal assist is, it does come with the throttle that we fitted. Technically speaking, that makes it illegal in the UK, and we did only actually fit it just so you could purely try it just for this review, and it does work spot on. If we were to go to set off now, press that, the bike sets off without you pedalling. We are now going to take that off. We've tested it. In some countries you can have that on. Over here in the UK it does make it illegal, and if the police were to stop you, they can take the bike off you for having that. So we are now going to take that off. You did also find with that, you've got 5 levels of pedal assist, haven't you?
Yes.
And you've got 7 gears.
Yes.
So what you have to do is obviously match your gear to what kind of terrain you're on, and also how much assist you want. Which I think obviously you got there fairly quickly working out. You know, them first few times, all right, I need to be in a low gear and I need a lot of assist to set off on a hill. Whereas sort of setting off, maybe going downhill, you can be in a high gear with not much assist.
Yeah, of course.
And it's all nice and easy just on the controls there. You very quickly got the idea of that, didn't you? So I think the final plus point that we like about it is security. It's very easy to take the battery off.
Yeah.
So that means kind of if you're nipping into the shops and things, you can just pop the battery off, take that with you, and as well as obviously putting a lock round it and perhaps locking it to a lamppost or whatever, it would mean that if somebody was to take the bike, they've not got the battery, they can't use it properly, it's going to deter anybody from pinching it in the first place. And also the front wheel comes off really easy with that quick release. So when we're sort of storing them overnight and things, we take both of those off and store them away from the actual bike, don't we?
Yeah, of course.
And that therefore means nobody can ride it away, and even if they were to then sort of pinch the frame and back wheel, they've not got the battery for it, and it's virtually useless.
Not a bike anymore,
yeah,
is it?
and obviously they've not got the charger either, because that's also stored away from the bike. So that's really easy, a good feature there that should deter anybody from ever stealing the bike. I suppose then we have to have a look at things that we don't like about it, and in all honesty we have kind of had to do a bit of head scratching to come up with most of these, haven't we? There's nothing major that jumped out. Yeah, there's nothing major jumped out, but equally if you look around you can probably always find something there. First thing is these mud guards. or fenders, depending on where you are in the world. They do the job absolutely perfect. They keep the mud and everything off you as you're riding along in the water. They just don't seem to be overly well sort of engineered fitting wise, and they kind of move around a little bit at times, don't they? And it's, you know, especially if we've been lifting it in and out the car or the van or whatever, and then you put them down, you can find that the mud guards managed to twist out of line, and you just have to line it back up. One of the rides you went on with your daughter, you did say as you were riding along you could hear like a clicking noise, and it turned out the mud guard had just moved a bit and it was catching on the tyre. Nothing major, but maybe just needs a tweak here or there at the engineering side in the design stage to just get that a little bit better. The brakes themselves work absolutely perfect. The only thing I would say is when I first got it out and set it up, it did just take a little bit of tweaking on both the front and back brakes, just setting the cables up exactly right, just because, I mean, to start with, the back brake I think was set up so that the pads were slightly loose on the disc, and again they were vibrating and making a bit of noise, and so it was just a bit of tweaking and changing with that. So now they're set up, they're perfectly fine. It did just take a few minutes of, you know, adjust this, adjust that and what have you. So you're not overly impressed with these hand grips, are you?
No.
They're not kind of moulded to fit your hands or anything, are they? So they're not the comfiest of things, especially on a longer ride. Yeah. And you did sort of tend to find that they were riding off the handlebars a little bit at times, don't they? You have to kind of push them back on. So it's probably one of the few things that I think you're going to have a look at, sort of buying some better ones for, aren't you? Yeah. Changing them for some nicer, sort of more comfortable grips that sort of stay on the bars a little bit better. The last item that we've picked up on is something that could probably be quite easily changed in the design stage, and that's that there's nowhere to put a water bottle, is there?
No.
There's nowhere. Normally on mouse bikes you've got kind of a couple of screws somewhere, and they're sort of presets that a water bottle, and equally as important as the water bottle, you now quite often get little pumps for the tyres that will go onto those screws. But there isn't one on this bike.
No, there's nowhere to put one.
So there's nowhere to put a water bottle, which in the end, while you were out riding the other day, you'd actually just cable tied a sort of a water bottle holder onto the side there, hadn't you? And that did the job fine, but it just seems, I mean, going back to when I was that big, bikes had a water bottle holder position on them. Yeah. So why hasn't it got one? Again, just perhaps needs these screws putting somewhere on there, and that would probably deal with that situation. So I think to sum up, you'd kind of say it's a good bike, isn't it?
Absolutely. It
kind of does exactly what it's supposed to do. Like we said, it's a budget e-bike, there's nothing super fancy about it, but everything does basically what it should do.
Yeah, it does.
Maybe, like we said, with an odd tweak or here or there.
But it's a tweak.
That's it, it's a tweak. It's nothing dramatic, nothing that you'd be saying, oh no, I can't ride that, or it's, you know, it's let me down or anything. No. It's all very good. So Eleglide have provided us with a discount code, so anybody who's interested in buying one can click on the link below, have a look at that discount code, pop it into their website, and you can get the best price possible on this bike at the moment. Like we said, it has just been released, they've only just come out in this country. So you go and grab your helmet and we'll go and have a little ride, shall we?